bao. Today we're going to be working on 形声字 first because they are the meaning sound forms. We got a couple of them. According to Dr. Ash Henson, radicals, well, he doesn't like to call them radicals, the 部首, or the component part, only indicates meaning like 65% of the time. But we're going to try to get creative. We'll start with this sound form. Bao, first tone. Welcome to Runner's Garden, where I teach you characters and you see fun stuff like balloon cats. He's not interested. Also on a leash, those kids are all holding a rope. That one wasn't a cat, it's a bear who likes seafood. Speaking of bears, this one's still around from the holidays. A little dirty. Dirty bear. That bear was holding a wrapped gift. Classic from National Taiwan Normal University. Wrap and wrapping paper. 包装 and 包装纸. First character, bao, is wrap. There's the stroke order. You can kind of see that in the character. If you think about it as a top view, the lines that are wrapping around the box. 包裹 is package or parcel. We got some new books. And my wife's favorite, 包子. A steamed bun wrapped around some kind of meat or other filling. In fact, she got kind of excited when I was going to talk about 包子. This is not 包子, this is 地瓜. And this purple one is hanji. Warming up some leftovers from Pinot Coco in Taiwan. Italian restaurant. Da bao is to wrap up your food. That's a plate of pasta right there. Pause the video, get your snack, and come back and write bao 10 times. Put the food radical or 部首 component, sorry, Dr. Henson, in front of the bao, you can get to be full. So 我快吃饱了. 吃饱了 means you're full. I got a real crazy way of remembering that stroke order. Just give me 1 second. Check it out. First 3 strokes look like an F, right? If you take a look at it this way. Then you seem to be forming like a backwards E, but watch. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 7th stroke is gonna come straight down. See what I'm getting at? No. Okay. F, O, O. Up like this, and this. There's your D. Where's the D? Well, you gotta use your imagination. Capital D. Food. Sorry, that got a little top heavy. Match that up with bao, and you got third tone, bao. Look, no hands. We're gonna switch that one out for the month radical. Back to first tone on this one. This is the character they use for 双胞胎, that is twins. You can see 2 buns in the oven right there. Sorry.
What a character.
Sorry. There are exactly 9 strokes in this whole character. Maybe you can remember 9 months. 9 for the character, strokes, and months. The term of a pregnancy. And for twins too. This is the radical for show. Definitely seen on my videos before. Stick our post-its together. 4th tone, bao. Oh, come here. To hold with both hands or to hug. Also used in sorry. You can say 对不起, but you can also say 抱歉. Lastly, we have the fish. That's the character for fish, by the way. I introduced this in a couple of my videos before. The first one was talking about changing man, which is slow, to the word for eel, and we put the fish radical, doing the same thing, but it's not eel, it is abalone. 鲍鱼, 4th tone. 鲍鱼. High school kids and boys here in Taiwan will laugh at that one. It looks like a never mind. 3rd tone, used in the expression for to stay, to maintain, to promise, to guarantee. If a person radical makes a promise to you to protect you, bao hu. They will say it. Mouth. Maybe you can remember that a person will often cross their heart. So there is a cross. There's two little lines. Mu. Incidentally, and I find this interesting, the simplified character actually uses more ink in that the simplified character tends to connect the strokes with the mu. Just thought you'd like to see my tree. And the traditional just has a kind of ep.10 and a 点. 保持联络 is to keep in touch. Oh, if I had room for this.
我要给你看一下。好，先让你看，但我再转给你。
Oh, looking at one of those treadmills that you can see the scenery as you're running. You look at a screen. My treadmill is dead, and you might think, well, why don't you just go outside and run? Yeah, you got a point there. But sometimes it gets too hot in Taiwan, or there's a typhoon or something. One of the words today is 保证, a guarantee. 马达保证5年, 5 years for the motor. That's pretty good, I think. But the price was not. It was like 5,600 USD. Actually, I could just put an iPad in front of the smallest screen one and pay a lot less money. 保守 means to be conservative. And 保重 is something you would say to somebody if they were just getting over an illness. You'll tell them to take care. You'll see what I do with the Post-its here. A promise of protection will be a fort. This 部首 here is earth or ground. So maintaining a permanent structure, as in 城堡, which means castle. Also used in the transliteration for hamburger. It's about the size of it. I show a lot of characters on signs, and I just want you guys to know that none of these signs are endorsements from me for any product or business. Unless, for example, there were like a Burger King in town. 汉堡王. That one's pretty popular too. 我是汉堡. Just a reminder that you really should write these to make them stick. Like footprints in concrete. I did that before. And this is fourth tone 报, which is used in 报纸 for newspaper. I remember this in a kind of a wacky way. You see the same tool radical right there. See, that's just a larger one than this. Earth. And then I kind of think of this part as the hangman's noose. In the olden days when they used to hang people, they put a hood on their head so you don't see the head. You just see the legs kind of dangling there. Why are you always so morbid? Now, I can be cute sometimes too. Hangings, of course, would have been reported in the newspaper. 英文报, English newspaper. Here's our stroke order. Pause if you have to. Simplified, again, is definitely simplified. This is the hand radical. 写报告. Kids have to do that a lot in school, write reports. Have to do it in the office as well. Oh, I've just done this one. I actually didn't pay the tax yet, but I reported my taxes. So, 报税. 报税. Just noticed that the tax office over there is also a cyclist aid station. An old word for bicycle, they don't use it very much now, is 铁马, the iron horse. Old kind of bicycle that there's a frame that you can carry stuff on the back. I hope I can find one sometime for this video. 铁马, referring to the characters on that sign. I would love to have one of those old bicycles. One man's junk is another man's treasure. Treasured, that's our next character. 我的宝贝. Precious. On the top, you have a roof radical. You want to keep your treasures in the house. I don't want to keep my wife in the house. I want to keep the treasures in the house. That didn't sound right either. Under the roof, there's a wang. The kings keep the treasure, right? To the right of that, you're just going to have to learn it. And underneath all of that is the character for shellfish.胞has is a small but expanding department store in Taiwan. 无价之宝, priceless treasure. Ooh, that stinks. This is like 10 years old. I gotta throw that away. I guess it's good to go around the house and look for props. I find stuff I need to clean. Hello. There was only one doggy in that window. How much is that dog? Let's take a look at bao again here for a couple of seconds. And then curse those people studying simplified characters, because the simplified is only the roof over yu, jade. This fourth tone, bao, has the meaning of cruel, savage, sudden, and violent. Writing it top to bottom, but I'm seeing the face of a samurai warrior. There's a nose in the middle, eyes, those flaps that come down on the side of his helmet, and on the top, a zhi. That's the radical for sun and reminds us of the Japanese warrior. This kabuto helmet would strike fear in the hearts of enemies. Violence and cruelty were sometimes necessary. Houses here in Taiwan and nearly every restaurant uses gas. Flame grilling since 1954. If there are gas leaks, it can sometimes lead to explosions, like happened recently on the 12th floor of Xinguang Mitsukoshi department store. If you put the fire radical next to violent, you get bao. Again, fourth tone, as in bao zha, explode. I realize that sometimes I'm a bit silly, so I apologize. A leopard can't change its spots. The last character of the day is bao, also fourth tone, leopard or panther. Bao one, like when you have clothing with leopard spots on it, or hair. On the left, you have zhi, which is a legless insect and also a legendary beast. If you know the character for pig, it's similar. On the right, it kind of looks like cun for inch, but it's not. It's shao, spoon or ladle. Hai bao is seal. Not to be confused with hai bao, poster. We learned that bao with newspaper. And that concludes our bao, 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 bao. Good job, guys. The next time I'm going to do a review session, followed by a video on bay, 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 bay. Whew. I just did another mile there, with the occasional stopping to take some video. The great wisdom of the internet is saying that I should get at least a 4% like watch ratio. So if this video helped you at all, please give me a thumb. There's Garden signing off.